Okay, the time is 7 o'clock. Good evening, everyone. I would like to call to order the July 20th, 2023 school board meeting. Our first order of business is the reorganization of the board, starting with the election of the chair of the school board. At this point, I will open the floor for nominations for school board chair.
I nominate Bob Holt for chairman. Second.
I have a second.
Did you second? No. Ms. Jones, or did you second?
I did.
Ms. Parker, second. Okay.
Oh, that part.
Okay, I didn't hear you, so I didn't. Okay. So at this point, if I don't have any other nominations, I would like a show of hands for the re-election of Mr. Robert Holt for school board chair. Show of hands, please. All right, you have that recorded, Ms. Davis?
Was that all I needed?
It was 6-0, ma'am. With Ms. Johnson absent. Well, sir, congratulations, Mr. Holt, on your re-election as school board chair. I turn the floor over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Carter. Carrie Johnson will be late or may not be able to make it, so she will not be here at this time. We'll open the floor for nominations for vice chair.
I would like to nominate Ms. Christina Boone for vice chair.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Can I throw my name into the hat as well?
Say it again?
Can I throw my name into the hat? Can you nominate yourself?
Well,
What's procedure here?
we have a motion and a second, so we'll vote on that. And if that fails, then we'll seek another nomination. All those in favor of Ms. Boone as vice chair signify by raising your hand. Opposed, raise your hand. Any abstentions? Congratulations, Ms. Boone.
Thank you.
Clerk of the board, Ms. Davis has done that. Agent for the board would be Dr. Carter. Superintendent's designee in his absence would be Dr. White. Designatee to sign documents in the absence of the superintendent would be Dr. White. Do we have a motion to approve those people? I'll take them one at a time. Do we have a motion to approve Ms. Davis as board clerk?
I so move.
Second.
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ms. Davis is appointed. Superintendent's designee, agent of the board, Dr. Carter, do we have a motion?
I move to accept Dr. Carter's agent for the school board.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That motion carries. Superintendent's designee, which would be Dr. White. Do we have a motion?
I move to accept Dr. White as the superintendent's designee.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor of Dr. White signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That motion carries. Representative of the CSEP board, representative of the Governor's School of the Arts. representative of the Appomattox Governor School, representative of Hampton Roads Educational Telecommunications, voting delegate to the Virginia School Boards Association, and an alternate. I know Ms. Council has expressed an interest in being our voting delegate to Virginia School Board Association. Do we have a nomination? I'll nominate her. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor of Ms. Council as our voting delegate to the School Board Association, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Excuse me, Mr. Holt.
Yes.
Did we vote yet? I think I overlooked it on the,
We skipped some. We'll come back.
oh, okay. All right, sorry. No one overlooked it.
Anyone want to be alternate to the voting delegate, Virginia School Board Association? Do we have a nomination? We can fill that later. Representative to the Hampton Roads Educational Telecommunications Association. Jerry, you did that last year.
Yes, sir.
Would you like to do it again?
Yes, I'm willing. It's very little has been required so far.
Okay. Would you nominate yourself?
I nominate myself for representative to the Hampton Roads Educational Telecommunication Association Incorporated.
We have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Let's go up to representative of the Governor's School for the Arts. We welcome LaChandra Parker, who's in Ward 3, and she attended that school, correct?
Yes, I did.
Would you be interested in representing us on that board?
Yes,
Would you nominate yourself?
I will.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you. We can deal with CSEP and the Appomattox School when we have a more full board.
I was going to ask about, did we already vote on this to designate the signed documents?
I'm not sure that we did, but we will certainly do it if we didn't. Do we have a motion to approve Dr. White to sign documents in the absence of the superintendent?
I so move.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you, board. Approval of our agenda. Do we have a motion to approve our agenda as presented?
I give a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries. Roll call, Ms. Davis.
Ms. Boone,
Here.
Ms. Council,
Here.
Ms. Parker,
Here.
Mr. McQuarrie,
Present.
Mr. Holt,
Present.
Ms. Powell,
Here.
Ms. Johnson, Dr. Carter.
Present.
Thank you. Our consent agenda, we have minutes from our April 27th meeting for second reading and our minutes for our May 4th work session. Do we have a motion to approve those minutes?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any discussion? Motion carries and they are approved. Thank you. Citizens' time. Do we have someone signed up?
My apologies, Mr. Holmes. I neglected to bring the list up front.
Thank you. We have two people. First, Ms. Audra Lee.
First of all, I'd like to say good evening to Mr. Holt and all the other members of the school board. Very happy to be able to be here today. I wanted to, first of all, apologize because I wanted to follow protocol, but I had called Dr. Carter a few weeks ago, and I have not heard anything back from him, so I didn't get to share with him what I wanted to share tonight. So I will do that, and since he's here, we'll
Did you
get started.
Did you leave the reason for your call?
Did I what?
Did you leave the reason for your call?
I did, to speak
Okay.
with Dr., to speak with
All right, thank you.
Dr. Carter. That was my reason. I was recently I ran for school board seat and was defeated by Mr. Holt. And at first I was a little bit disappointed because I was looking at somebody that had been on the board for 13 years and was hoping that we could get a little fresh blood in the system. But then later I realized that my seat was in the community. So I'm thankful that God has his way of doing what he needs to do. And so I'm glad to be where I am. And with this, Mr. Holt had told me after the election, he said he's going to find a place for me, which I didn't need a place, but I have some things that I would like to see Dr. Carter and the school board to take care of as soon as possible, especially before the next school year. Prior to me being nominated for the school board seat, I had applied for a substitute position, which I did receive within an hour after being interviewed. And so I was called to one of the schools, J.P. King Elementary School. I'm going to read it because I don't want to leave out anything. I was called to J.P. King to substitute a few weeks before school closing in a 6th grade English class. And upon entering the school, I was told where to sign in and then given a roster for the classes. About 10 minutes in the class, I was given a package by one of the teachers from across the hall. And it was 2 sheets. One was the lyrics from Whitney Houston's A Moment in Time, and the other one was the sheets for the children to go over and read and explain how they could relate it to their lives, and which was a little bit discouraging. And so as I went on, I was told that I had the worst class at J.P. King, which I only found was a group of kids who were not used to structure and authority. I explained to the kids that it was my first day substituting, and my requirements were, you respect me and I'll respect you. And I want you to know that was a very, very good class. They listened, they did their paperwork, and and they turned it in, and I thought that was good, and I was excited about that. And afterwards, I proceeded to call on the different students to read just a little bit from the lyrics. And I didn't have anyone that really wanted to read. So I thought, okay, then we're not going to allow anyone to be embarrassed today. So then I asked them to raise their hands if they would like to read. And I had a few of the young people to raise their hand. And I could see why a lot of them did not want to read, because they were unable to read. So that means that there's a deficiency in our English and reading program. And then a few minutes later, one of the I read the passage to the children because I could see that they couldn't. And I had one of the young men in the classroom say to me, Miss Lee said, we're not used to being taught. Said when the teacher's here, said she usually gives us these handouts and then she gets on the phone. And I was terribly distraught. And I'm hoping to get through because I get emotional because I love kids with all my heart. And I see where our school system they're not getting what they really need. They need stronger teachers, they need stronger authority. And on top of that, at J.P. King was being run without a superintendent, without a principal or an assistant principal. So I don't know who was in charge. And on top of all of that, I was sent into a classroom, and I have a package here for everyone. And this, every day when I left the school, I had to go home and shower, because this is what I was faced with in the classroom. And I don't know what we're doing as far as cleanliness, but the system is pretty much, I would say, failing our children right now. And I understand wholeheartedly that all the schools are short of teachers and substitutes, bus drivers, and everybody else. But we're going to have to find a way as a community to build back that village that we all talk about, that we're not doing. I have requested for the last 2 years that we get an advisory board consisting of parents, teachers, students, people in the community that could help us pull this thing together. Because what we have now is definitely not working.
Ms. Lee, you're way over your time. So
I didn't know I had a time.
yeah, 5 minutes.
Oh, I didn't know that. But I think you got across what I'm asking. We need substitute training. Like I said, I was sent into a classroom for my first day training with nothing but a roster. Nobody gave me anything to do. And if I didn't have a knowledge of children and didn't know how to work with children, that could have been a catastrophe. And I just want us to just come together. If we can just find a way, because this community is torn apart terribly. The whole community is in bad shape. So I'm hoping that y'all, as the school board, the leaders of our children, the ones that are supposed to be helping our kids, the truancy program, all of this needs to be put in place. The 2 days I was there, I was told that 10 children had been expelled from school, which made no sense to me. So I wanted to share this, and I'm in the community now. My seat is in the community, I need you to remember that. So you'll probably see me a lot more, because I feel that somebody has to bring it to the forefront of what we're needing to do for our babies. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Clyde Bailey. Mr. Bailey here.
Good evening, everyone.
How are you?
I'm good. Shoot, I don't know what I'm gonna say. Basically, it's the same thing from last year. You know, definitely got to get with the parents. What I'm watching and seeing is the parents, because the parents will be held accountable for their child. Because I know the teachers and the superintendents, they doing their job, they doing the best they can do, and how they want to do things, but some kind of way we got to get more closer to the parents. We got to get more closer with meetings and different things. And I say it all the time. That's where it kind of starts at, is in home first. With the parents, because I know everyone up here, everybody got their own issues. Everybody got their own life, and they trying to do this and trying to do that. But it got to start with the parents on some kind of way. Well, we got to do a night out with just the parents, without the kids, and talking to some of the teachers and getting it together and watching how many parents are involved or active with their child. And that's one of the major problems, the big problems that I'm seeing, as I've been keeping my mind and my eyes focused on what's going on in this community. Because like Ms. Orgelie said, that if there ain't no structure there, we gonna keep on be right here 10 years from now, 20 years, same old thing over and over and over again. So, only thing I can say is that trying to get more involved and get with these parents to understand that their children, have to be able to know how to read and write. So by the time they get to the high school, still reading on a 4th grade, 5th grade level, and then you pushing them on through and talking about they going to college, that's a failure. We setting them up for failure. That ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna work that way. And the only thing they gonna do is what we do. We can sit around here and say it ain't my child. I don't have no kids here. But you go to Walmart, you go to the Wawas, you go to the Starbucks, and that's gonna be the one that's out there that don't know how to read and write. They'll rob you, kill you, whatever. It's just being real, because they're gonna get frustrated, and what they're gonna find to do is the negative, because they frustrated. So we got to come up with some kind of plan and some kind of way. It's just not no more. At first, it just used to be in the poor neighborhoods. It ain't even that no more. It's all over. You know what I'm saying? It ain't even a white or black thing. It's just all over. It's just period. Because you got the high meth. It's tearing up the community from Southampton County to Franklin, all the way all over. So at the end of the day, we just got to look in our hearts and our mindset and saying, it ain't my child, I ain't got no kids here, but that means you ain't going to no more gas stations. That means you ain't going to be going to no more being able to come out the house, because the ones that we overlooked and the ones we sit right there and turn our backs on, them going to be the robbers, them going to be the killers, them going to be the ones that trying to do the negative to get to, because they frustrated. If they ain't got no mother or father in the household, then that's another story. What can we do? How can we get it done? You know what I'm saying? We got to, get some type of programs going. My main thing, we talk about the community, this and that, in the children, but what are the adults is doing? How's we relating or seeing them, and stop calling them crazy and trying to talk to them and trying to be, trying to find out what's going on. Do we have a program, or can we get a program to help teach children having children? You know what I mean? I knew when I grew up, it was in the Boys and Girls Club, they had different things that was there for the adults to do and to get something done. So like at the Oak Street, dealing with different things, community, how we can get it done. I mean, we still here. Ain't nothing changed from, just to me, got worse. It ain't no sense that how these schools, we got the budget, they should be clean, number one. They should have been done doing different things with, cleaning up the schools and the bathrooms and stuff like that. For only 8,000 population, nah, we ain't Newport News, we ain't Hampton, we ain't Virginia Beach, We in Richmond. So, for, kids going to school, and they don't have nowhere. I know one time they was talking about the bathrooms it won't right. So whatever we got to do to get it right, we just got to stick to it and be honest about ourselves, and let's do it and get it done. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item area is finance. Is that Ms. Morrison?
Ms. Morrison, would you take care of it? The budget adjustment.
Dr. Carter, School Board, good evening. This is an amended budget amendment. What happened with this was we should have had a $35,000 increase to move it to $110,000, but instead we asked for an amendment of $110,000. So that was just a typographical error that needs to be corrected. And my recommendation is that the school board approve this budget adjustment.
Do we have a motion to approve the budget adjustment?
I so move.
Second.
A second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. .2.
Okay, first I will go over the fiscal year 2023 financial performance as it exists today. This is general fund only, and note that the financials will not be final until after our audit in September. We had a budget of $17.3 million. We've spent $16.9 million, so that leaves us with available balance of $413,000. And depending on the accruals from the audit and which means any expenditures that are incurred in July and August that really relate to June of 2023. Depending on the outcome of that, there may be an amount available for rollover. The textbook fund, we still have a year-end adjustment to do to bring those in line. The nutrition fund has operated at a deficit this year, mainly due to a capital item of a walk-in refrigerator freezer that unexpectedly had to be replaced. And so they do have a beginning balance in as of 7/1/22 that will be carried. This negative will be carried against, and they will still have a positive fund balance. This is federal grants, and as I've stated previously, the budget for federal grants all depends on how the grant balances are rolled over, and so I fully anticipate that as the year goes on and we get more grant approved and we roll over the years to the new grant years, that we will have more budget amendments to bring that budget down to what the actual figures are. We spent $4 million this year in grant funds, and that leaves $7 million available. And overall, that leaves us with $7 million available. Again, there's going to be more revenue and expenditures accrued during the cost report, the audit process. Okay. So this is a budget amendment to take the contingency amount of $577,200 and reallocate that accordingly to instruction for $20,000, administration and health for $270,000, operations and maintenance for $240,000, and technology for $47,200. And I recommend that this budget amendment be approved as presented.
May we ask a question?
Yes.
So what is this contingency expense decrease? Where did,
That is the rollover from previous year.
okay. From local, is that local funds?
Yes.
Local funds, okay.
Do we have a motion to approve the budget amendment presented?
I move to approve the budget adjustments.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Okay.
I'm sorry. The health expense increase, can you please elaborate on that?
That would be primarily the capital expenditures that we've had during that time frame in that category, mostly from central office.
Meaning, it's not being specific, it's not, when you say central office, it's just saying central office, it's not
Oh, no,
elaborating on-
it's paid from central office, but it's for each of the schools.
Okay,
It's health insurance?
No, administration and health is the category that most of the central office it falls under. But I can get more detail on that and get back with you if you'd like.
thank you, I'd appreciate that one.
Okay.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
Did you make the original motion?
Ms.
Okay,
Howard.
sorry. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yes, so just for clarity, so are these numbers we've seen before?
Yes.
And it's because starting the new year that we're having to, is that where the rollover occurs?
Yes, the rollover from previous year was 577,000, and it was
Okay.
local, and it is allowed to be used for these different categories. And then if we have a rollover from this year, it'll roll over into next year.
Okay. And the rollover, I'm trying to understand how our bookkeeping coincides, works with the city. So I know there was a question at one point of whether or not we would receive rollovers from the city. Am I thinking that in the
They have
same
indicated to me
context?
that for capital improvement projects, they're willing to entertain that idea.
Oh, okay. So the funding, the original fund, the 577,000, that was previously budgeted, but
Yes,
it wasn't spent. So we're asking to roll over for these other expenses.
yes,
Okay. All right. Thank you.
We're just taking rollover and balancing expenditures in these four categories, correct?
yes.
Okay.
Sometimes it's a little bit hard because it's like seeing it now. Sometimes I don't see it in context necessarily. So I'm just trying to process it. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That motion carries. 5.4 budget amendment adjustment.
Just a second, so there's more. Is that more of your slide? the Franklin
Yes.
City?
The next thing I wanted to talk about was the Clean School Bus Program. We have received a federal grant from the Clean School Bus Program, and that is mainly zero emission buses, which is going to reduce pollution, and it's reducing maintenance costs, and it's also allowing for a cleaner, quieter ride for the buses. And we did actually receive that money in July in full. Okay, so I have a budget amendment here to agree our records with the city. Revenue of $1,164,600 that we have already received in full, and we need an increase in expenditures accordingly. I recommend that this budget amendment be approved as presented.
Is this having anything to do with the electric buses?
Yes.
Yes.
This was a,
I thought we totally moved on from that.
No, it's always, it's a part of a grant. There's always extra. It's continuing. So our,
So they keep trying to entice us by giving us more?
Yes.
Before there
Previous
wasn't
slide,
enough.
please.
There wasn't enough
Previous
for us
slide.
to look for it.
Previous slide. If you look, the bipartisan infrastructure law provides $5 billion over the next 5 years to clean a substantial portion of the nation's fleet of nearly 500,000 school buses. And these new cleaner school bus replacements will produce either zero or low emissions compared to their older diesel predecessors.
Right, but we've spent so much time talking about electric buses, so if you wouldn't mind just helping
what
us
we were,
understand where this
yeah,
is going.
you're confusing. Let me bring some clarity. The original bus grant was for the purchasing of the buses, And so we didn't originally have enough money, and so we took money from the general fund to make up the difference because the grant only paid roughly about 70 to 80% of our total cost. So now these are the Clean Fuel Act emissions that they are also requiring for the electric buses and the grants that just keeps coming. So it's always going to keep coming as requirements for having the electric buses. And this is just one more step. So you remember you paid for the buses, you paid for the fuel, you remember the charging stations?
Right.
And so now this is just now dealing with the emissions.
My memory is that we never, like, we had to table it. Is my memory incorrect?
Yes, we passed the
Did I miss
electric
that
bus.
week?
Yes,
Did I
we
miss that
did.
week?
Yes,
Okay.
we did.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. We had 2 vendors that came,
I was there.
and then after that, we came back around again, and then we approved for the electric buses and also for the charging stations. And now this is just moving it further down the road as we got.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is an addition.
Yes, this is just an additional requirement that the.
But it's
for-
it's funded by it's grant from the state
Yes,
or
yes, yes.
It's
It's
federal grant.
it's federal grant, yeah.
federal? Okay, so we're just including that in our budget. is
Yes.
what the
Yes.
Okay, amendment is for. Okay.
Okay. The last thing I have tonight is the June vouchers. If you'll just kind of go through those slowly so people can see them. It's kind of hard to read.
Yes, can you pause right there, please? So I have a question on the last 2 items on this, the school construction debt reduction. Is this in relation to the roof?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We're going to be talking later on the agenda about the roofs? Or about the loan?
Yes and no. And so what you're going to see later on is the resolution, but you can either ask your question now or you can wait for the resolution.
Let's wait for the resolution.
Okay, I can wait, all right, because I do have questions about that.
Mr. Chair, point of order, did we vote on, did we vote on the last budget adjustment?
No, I don't think we have. I know we had a motion and a second, and then we had questions, but we haven't voted.
I don't want us to miss it.
No, I don't either. We don't want to have another Monday night meeting. So.
What's on the table? For the bus?
Clean
For the
buses.
bus.
And it's funds that we've actually received.
Okay.
The $1,164,600,
Right.
Yes.
$600, that.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Davis, for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Superintendent's report, Dr. Carter.
I am pleased for all to welcome Mr. Gary Clark as our new principal at Joseph P. King Middle School. Mr. Clark, would you please stand? Come up to it. Would you please give Mr. Clark a hand, please? I just asked Mr. Clark to say a few words.
Thank you, and good evening to you all. I just want to let you know I'm coming to you from Virginia Beach. I have over 25 years of experience. Over half of that has been as an administrator. I'm excited about the opportunity to serve the city of Franklin and the students here. I'm looking forward to getting to know the community, the students. I have big dreams, big plans for them. Some of you guys have already came in and you've met with me, so you know we're actively working, and we want to make sure that we hit the ground running when school starts. As far as the families, I'm looking forward to meeting you all. Please come see me, and we'll be able to talk, and we'll be able to make sure we do things the way we're supposed to do it. The school accreditation is extremely important. Dr. Carter and I, we're on the same page. I'm here for one reason, and that's for the students in the city of Franklin. So again, I'm honored, I'm privileged, and I'm looking forward to doing everything I can to make sure that we make things right.
Thank you.
Thank
Mr.
you. Thank you.
Mr. Clark. Mr. Clark. Mr. Clark. You'll be interested in this. She is not a stranger to some, and she is new to others, but I would like to introduce our new director, Dr. Tanika Ricks. She will be serving as the Director of Gifted and Pupil Personnel. Come on and speak and say a few words, Dr. Ricks.
Thank you all again. Good evening. I'm definitely honored and appreciate the opportunity to come back to Franklin City Public Schools and serve. I have myself over 20 years of experience in the field of education, also here in Franklin. I recently just had my daughter who graduated from Franklin High School. She graduated with 2 associate's degrees in Franklin, and I'm excited about that, and she'll be pursuing her career, her studies at Norfolk State University. And I'm just so excited for the opportunity. I have one at the elementary and also one at the middle school. So there are some great opportunities here. I'm thankful for the vision that Dr. Carter has set forward for Franklin City Public Schools and how we all are supporting that vision. And I look forward to moving forward with our schools. And also, I am also looking forward to a successful 23-24 school year. Again, thank you and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ricks. 6.2, Ms. Davis. Okay, just want to bring to your attention that in the past with our McKinney-Vento, which is our homeless students, in the past our budget was roughly $1,000. Due to the work of and foresight of Dr. Elliott, our social worker, we were able to increase that and award it for $3,900. So now we're able to serve in a much faster fashion more students here in Franklin City, and I just want to acknowledge Dr. Elliott for her work in seeing the need and increasing funds for our system. So I just want to acknowledge that to the board.
Dr. Carter, don't we have over 30 students in that category?
We do. We have over 30. 2 years ago we had 10. Now we're at 30. 30 that was reported last year, 30 families that were reported homeless in our system. Okay, this is hot off the press. I did present to you through George Mason that we will place tutors to teacher program. And this program was only rewarded to 4 districts throughout the state of Virginia, and they will place 20 seniors in the field of education to come tutor at SP Morton for the academic year 2023-2024. Each student will receive each school will receive 10 tutors to work with 20 students, 1 tutor to 2 students, focusing on either literacy or math. We will identify 1 faculty staff to serve as a liaison between the school and George Mason. The grant will provide $1,000 stipend for this person for the academic year. Tutoring will take place virtually 1 hour per day for 3 days per week for a total of 3 hours per week. Ideally, the tutors would like to arrange with the families with the support of the school liaison for a mutually selected time to conduct a tutoring session, for example, from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. What's also unique about this program, because it says tutors to teachers pipeline, those are 20 teachers that we have first rights to for hiring. So they will be ready to go in English, math, and science. And we're only one of 4 that was awarded out of 132 school districts in the state of Virginia. So this will be started immediately, and I just want to bring this to the board's attention.
Very good.
Thank you.
Yep. I'm sorry. Go ahead and go. Okay, so thank you, ma'am. So tutors will be asked to, okay. So in addition, I'm sorry, Ms. Davis, thank you. There will be 40 students being tutored. There's a map assessment to the data because, of course, part of the grant, the university needs to see the before and after of the effectiveness. And they would like to begin tutoring on October 2nd, 2023 through December 23 for the fall semester, and they will start January 16th through May 3rd. So I would like to make a motion to the board to please approve this grant to allow the Teachers to Tutors program now that it is confirmed and here.
I move to approve the grant for Tutors to Teachers.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Oh, actually, I do have a quick question on that.
Yes, sir.
Are these seniors or?
These are seniors in college.
So after this next year, they'll be available?
They will be available for Franklin to hire.
All right, great.
And this program will continue on for the next 5 years.
Will Franklin be in the running?
No, we have it.
Oh,
We will have
be
it
available for the next 5 years?
for the next 5 years.
Awesome. Good. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. McCurry, the question of the hour. This is a resolution of the Franklin City School Board approving a loan from the Literary Fund for Virginia for the roof renovations to the school facilities. And basically, it is we know that we held a special meeting on Monday, and so I know you're asking those questions in your mind, Board. This was explained to me that this was a revision, and so it needs to be reviewed and approved so that the work for the certificate of adoption of the resolution, so the work can be moved forward. So I'm asking at this time the board to approve the resolution of the roofing for the literary loan for the roofing project for our elementary school and high school.
I move to approve the resolution for the roofing for the high school and for SP Morton.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Any discussion?
Yes. So my question goes back, I guess, a year when we first were discussing the loan. The loan amount was for $2 million. Am I correct on that?
Correct.
Okay. And then over this year, following that, the division received unexpected $1.2 million budget increase from the state.
In its state calculator last year.
State calculator
Yeah, last year. Yes.
Okay, and because of that, the board approved, because that exceeded our budget, the rationale was instead of borrowing $2 million, we're going to borrow $1 million and take the million from the state and apply it to the roof, basically, was the rationale.
Yes, as I remember.
Okay, that was the rationale, and I think personally, I think I misunderstood and thought we already had the loan. So I was thinking, it was being paid back. That was my perspective, but I found this was incorrect. But the short of it is, we have prepaid $1 million, or we're I'm not sure the amount now. I guess it's up to 600, 700,000.
No, Dr. Carter and I looked at it. It's 960,000.
960,000 that we have essentially prepaid for the roof.
Correct.
Okay, so the loan amount, and it may be updated on this. Is the school now borrowing $1 million or $2 million?
The literary loan was actually $2 million that was the city actually borrowed more than that. I can't give you the exact quote, but 2 million of what the city overall borrowed was going to the roofs. And yes, we did give up to $960,000 back
Okay,
to the city.
So how much money does the division have available for roofs? Once the loan is secured?
The city has the loan. That money never came over to our coffers.
No, all right. How much is the city going to allow? Because my understanding with this resolution is that and maybe this is an updated document, was that we were approving a loan of $2 million. Is that correct or incorrect?
No, that is correct. They were out of an overall loan for other capital improvement projects that they were doing with the city. That the $2 million of that was to fix the roofs, and then I believe back in October, the board approved for $1 million to go back to the city. And I don't know whether it was really designated from the state calculator or I don't know if one has a comparison with another, but 1 million went back.
So this is my perspective. And part of this has to do with timing. But is this resolution to approve the amount of $2 million?
Correct.
Okay. Well, then I would expect from the city to have $2.97 million available to the division to fix our roofs.
Okay, I follow your logic, and that is
because we've already earmarked, we've already sent the city back over this past year $970,000.
Correct.
And here we're making a resolution to borrow $2 million.
Correct. And I follow the math, and so that is a decision that I do have to push it back to the board. That is a decision of whether you want to accept or not tonight, because we did pay $960,000 back to the city that was board approved, but we are slated for up to $2 million of repairs at this moment.
Okay, so my question then is, what is the city prepared to make available to the division?
Those discussions have not been had.
Would they not have to be the discussion needed before we pass?
Well, that's again. So, Mr. McCurry, there's a choice at this point. So you can either pass it through, and then have a discussion afterwards, or table this and then ask for a meeting, because that's where we are.
I think we should. I'm sorry, excuse me, but us tabling this, is it going to cause a delay in the roofing for the schools because we are on a time frame?
Yes, because 65% of the work has been done for phase one, because remember I showed you 3 phases.
Right.
So 65% of the roof repairs have been done, and they're getting paid in quarters. So it really is my recommendation. If you want to know, my recommendation is to pass it now and then ask for a meeting with the city.
Ms. Powell, did you have something to add? No. Okay, I'm just very, well, I guess I've made my point clear. I just feel like that we know that there's going to be more expenses for the roof. Is that correct?
Oh, that's correct. This is just phase one.
So this is phase one. So because we've prepaid that $960,000, that should be, that to me, that money should be immediately available to go to the roofs.
I follow the math. Yes, I'm agreeing with you, but I'm saying to you that it's going to have to be a discussion with the
With the
city,
city.
one way or the other.
Okay.
And the only danger at this point is if you table this right now,
It's jeopardizing.
it's
the current
jeopardizing
budget.
the opening of school.
Okay. Okay. I understand.
Okay, I have a question. When we sent the money back to the city, at that time, wasn't it earmarked for that? Like, isn't it already earmarked for that? I guess I'm confused as to why we would have to have another discussion.
I agree with you.
Okay,
I don't know the answer to that.
Because, again, it was, see,
Like, if we go back and we
Right.
look at our paperwork and we say, we voted and we decided to send this money back with the understanding that it goes towards the roof, I don't know why we have to then go back and have a discussion that that's where the money goes if that's what we already did.
well, right now, unless Ms. Morrison knows something different that I don't. Do you know any updates on that, Ms. Morrison? Okay. There was no mention of the $960,000 being used for capital improvement for the roof from the city, the communication I have received. So that's why I'm saying for clarity, a discussion needs to be, a further discussion needs to be had.
I'm just asking, so is that money even still allocated to us that we pay back to them, or is it now just the cities?
I would assume it's the cities.
Do we have any recourse?
That's where the discussion has to take place. Because back in October, the board approved for the money to go back. And I believe at that time, I mean, I wasn't the superintendent at that time, so I can only speak to what's in the past. So I'm sorry, board, but I can only say that. But at this point, maybe the motion shouldn't have come up at that point to pass it, because that was just money given back.
What was the conversation at the time? Wasn't it, it was given back for the purpose of capital improvement?
It was the money, my recollection, excuse me. The way I understood it, the finance director at the time was that the board had already approved a loan for $2 million to repair the roof. And shortly after that, the state calculator came back with 1.2 million more than what our budget was. So the rationale is, well, if we're taking out a loan for $2 million to repair the roof, to save local taxpayers money, let's take $1 million that's coming from the state and go ahead and pay back the loan. But the reality is, I'm finding out the last several months that the loan was never actually secured, and that the city has required the school division to make monthly payments of $60-some thousand back to the city of that, based on the fact that we approved paying back the loan $1 million. So the way it's been handled is a mystery to me. So I would appreciate at some point, however needs to take place, if we could have another discussion with the city on this matter. Because again, my understanding back was that the loan was imminent or had been approved. Now we know it's not. It hasn't been until now.
Another question, I know this hasn't been brought up in a while, and it may not relate to this, but remember at one of our meetings with city council how we were saying we were going to have a fund that if we did have rollover, that it would roll into that fund for possible
Capital improvements.
Yeah, and if we wanted to build a new school.
Right.
Or for whatever we
Yes.
needed it for. Yeah, I remember that.
So is that still occurring, or?
No, we explored that avenue for school fund. The city at this time cannot sustain that effort, because I was also putting together a school assistant construction grant, as you know. So they said at this point they could not.
But those are two separate issues.
Those are
Whether
two
or not-
separate
whether or
issues.
not the city can sustain incurred debt for new schools. That's one category. The other category is if we have rollover, if that can be set aside for capital improvements of some nature. It doesn't necessarily only have to be a new building. I'm remembering
Right.
the same as Ms. Powell.
Right. But I had originally set it up for
Correct.
a new school fund.
Uh-huh.
So that's what Ms. Powell is talking about.
Well, it's a challenge for, I feel frustrated, trying to be, taking the information we are given and to make good decisions and trying to be good stewards of the funds, because I feel that, that's part of our job as a board. And whether it's just simple lack of understanding on my part as a board member, or if we've not been given factual information over the last year, I don't know. There's a lot of different moving parts. So
Well, in full transparency, Mr. McCurry, I think it was just ill-advised, a recommendation by the past
okay.
finance director, and now here we are. So we have to circle back around to have a discussion with the city.
Okay. Well, I understand the need to move forward with this because we don't want to jeopardize the start of the new school year. But I would ask that we set up a meeting with the appropriate people from the city to resolve that the money that was paid back, essentially.
Do we need to make a motion on that? Yes.
Well, I move to approve the resolution.
All right, hold on a second.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Do you want to withdraw yours, Christine?
No. I move to approve the resolution of the roofing going ahead.
All right, and we have a second from Ms. Parker. Now, Jerry.
No, I'm sorry. I forgot it was on the table.
Okay.
I
Any further discussion?
So
It's
the
only
motion
8 o'clock.
The motion we're voting on right now is to approve it as it currently stands.
Right.
Okay.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? We will arrange a meeting with finance shortly. And yes, we'll let you know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, board, nothing has to be done with this at this point. It's just in the packet. And so once you have approved the first, it's more that the city will fill out. And then when it comes to fruition, it will require the school board clerk and chairman of the board's signature. It's just part of the packet. Just want to let you know that it's there.
That it?
That's it, sir. That concludes my report.
School board business. 7.1, 2 weeks from today, we have our board training. It will start at 9 a.m. We anticipate it will go to 3. The facilitators that are here for that session will also be the facilitators for our strategic plan, and they would like to give an overview to the board on that plan that evening or that afternoon from 4 to 5. And then, if that weren't enough, we have our regular board meeting at 6. So we will, of course, provide lunch and a dinner kind of thing. And we will not provide beds or cots or anything.
That's what I was going to ask. Can we have a cot? We go 20-minute nap.
If you have an issue with any of those meetings or dates, let me know so I can anticipate. Anything else from the board members?
I have one thing.
All right.
I've been thinking about this the last couple of weeks and months as I've come up on a year on the board. And I just want to put a plug in the importance of staying unified as a community and unified as the board, which I think we're doing a great job of, but also we know we have a lot of room for improvement in the division. I don't think any of us are trying to hide from that. I don't think we're trying to cover it up. We're trying to be transparent. But as a community, we've really got to bond together and work collaboratively and support one another in all the ways possible. And we've got a great superintendent. We need to support him. We need to support our principals. We need to support all of our admin, central office, just as much as we can to be working together. So I don't want to sound too like Pollyanna about this, but I really do think we have fabulous resources here. I think we have people that care deeply about our kids. And I just wanted to put that plug out there that we've really got to focus on the positive and not ignore our reality. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we all feel that way. Thank you. For the benefit of our audience, we're going to vote to go into closed session. When we do that, we'll go in our conference room. We will deliberate on some things, and then after that, we will come back in open session. I don't know what time that would be. If there are any votes that need to be taken from our closed session, they will be done in open session. So, with that, do we have a motion to go into closed session?
Pursuant to 2.2-3711 of the Code of Virginia, I move that the Franklin City School Board convene in a closed session to discuss and consider the assignment, performance, salaries, and resignations of employees, and evaluate the performance of departments and schools where such evaluation will necessarily involve discussion of the performance of specific individuals and the superintendent, pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A1.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no.